Okay, this video is to help students better prepare for the Gauss-Jordan questions on exam 1. So basically through our homework and our quizzes, we were able to solve a system using the Gauss-Jordan elimination method. And it took a lot of steps. We first had to learn what this meant and what this meant. So this is important, and this is on the exam. So let's cover that first. This basically says take row 1 and replace it with row 2. So this is row 1, row 2, and row 3. So if you were asked to replace row 1 with row 2, they would just change places. Complete rows. So as you can see, that is now the first row. And what was the first row here is now the second row. So that is the first thing I want to make sure students understand, is what this symbol right here means. The second is, how do you read all of this? Okay, and we'll go over this. I went over this in the lessons. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 times row 1. So you're going to take 3 times row 1, add it to row 2. And that's going to become your new row 2, okay? So it goes through those steps right here. You'll multiply row 1 by 3, which is what this is, and you'll add that to row 2, which is what this is, and that becomes your new row 2. So let's go ahead and do that over here. 3 times row 1 is actually 3, 6, 15, and 87. And now we have row 2, which is -3, -5, 8, and -33. And if we're going to add these together, look what we get. So I'm going to put a plus sign here. 0, 1, 23, and 54. And that is what this row is. So that's your second concept you need to understand. What does this mean? Let me erase that a little bit better. What does this mean? So the most important thing is these are the operations, and this is going to be your new row 2. This is our new row 2, okay? And the pretty much the other thing you need to know is how we have multipliers. So this just means take row 3 and divide it by 273 and make that your new row 3. Now, how these steps are done, in what order, is your goal. Your first goal is to get a 1 in the first row in the first column. Then your next goal is to get zeros in the next 2 rows in the first column. And you do that by these operations, and you have to come up with those. How do you come up with those? You use this 1. You use this 1 in the first row to get what you want. Can you see you need to get rid of a -3? So we're going to need a +3. So 3 times row 1 would be 3 plus a -3, and that's where you get this 0. So I hope that helps. Let's go over this next one. How do I get rid of a 4? How do I make a 4 a 0? I multiply row 1 by a -4. So this becomes a -4 added to this +4, which gets us the 0. So that's the process. And then you start moving over and you start getting ones on the diagonal. Now we already had those ones, and then you move to a 0 below. And then you're going to want to make this 273 a 1. There you go. Again, you use the previous rows to get that. Once you have this diagonal of ones and you have your zeros below, you then have row echelon form. So this is row echelon form right here. But what we like is reduced row echelon. So a lot of students go ahead and write this system from row echelon form and then use substitution to get the remaining. So if a student understands all of this, if they understand all of this, let's write this down. If understood, use matrix methods to solve the system. So let's make sure we understand. We must know these operations. And once you know these operations, because these questions are asked on the exam, what does this mean? What does this mean? Okay? But once you understand what those symbols mean, what that terminology is, I would like you to go ahead and use matrix methods to solve systems. So that's what I'm going to do in every one of these examples, okay? So now that we've gone through that, let's go ahead and work our first problem. I'm going to use orange up here to highlight what we're working on. So we're working on number 47 to 50, which is one of your review problems. And let me go ahead and just write that. This is review problem. Okay, it's one of them. Okay, so here this is. So we're going to go to our calculator and we are going to go ahead and create our augmented matrix. So we'll go ahead and write that -3, 1, 4, -5, 2, -5, 8, 5, -6, -33, 29, and a -40. So we are going to go into our calculator and then we are going to use reduced row echelon form. Make sure it is RREF, and then we will have a solution matrix. We'll go ahead and write that down when we're finished. Okay, you're going to go to second matrix, and we are going to just edit matrix A and go ahead and press enter. And this is it's always rows by columns. Let's write that down, rows by columns. So we have 3 rows and we have 4 columns, and it creates your matrix. Now your calculator may look a little different than this, but your operations are the same. So we just start typing these in, and you just press enter after every one of these. And you do want to take a moment after you type these in to make sure you got them all typed in properly before you run reduced row echelon. I will make sure to tell you have to press that last enter. So let's check what we typed in, what I typed in. It looks like I'm good. And here's the most important thing, second quit. Now, after you second quit, you're going to go back to second matrix. And you can see A has a 3x4 matrix entered, but now we're going to do some math. And then we're going to go to reduced row echelon form. It is B on my calculator. You need to look for RREF, not REF, okay? So RREF, and we want that to be matrix A that we're going to run RREF on. So second matrix. And this is the time we stay in the names menu and choose matrix A. So we're asking our calculator to run reduced row echelon form on matrix A. And there we have it. So we can write our solution matrix. And what do you notice? The ones are on the diagonal. We have the zeros below, but guess what else? We have the zeros above our one diagonal. And then what do we have written to the right? 3, 8, and 2. So this means x is equal to 3, y is equal to 8, and z is equal to 2. How do we write that? Well, we're going to write that as an ordered triple. So we're going to come down with this. And look what we have. We get all the way down here. And there is our ordered triple. You do need parentheses. So it looks like this. The bracket is the solution set. And this is our ordered triple, okay? So make sure you enter this properly, and of course it will be reviewed. So this right here, this solution is going to be 3, 8, 2. That is our ordered triple. And that is the solution. And I will allow that. If you understand all of these operations, you can go ahead and just give me an augmented matrix on your work. And then go ahead and you can give me this solution matrix, this reduced row echelon form, to justify your answer. So now let's work a few more. We'll go straight to the calculator. So here, this is number 59 and 60. On the review, and we'll go a little bit faster now. We're going to go straight. This is our system, and we're going to go straight to the calculator with our augmented matrix. So I'm going to go right over to my calculator. I'm going to go to second matrix. And I am going to click on A, second quit, clear, second matrix, and I am going to edit matrix A. So the only thing you really have to worry about is how many rows do we have? We have 4 rows and we have 4 columns. So this is a 4 by 4, and I'm just going to type right over these. So we have a 1, a 0, a 1, a -6, and you know what? This is a 4 by 5. We're probably saying, what in the world? It's a 4 by 5 because we have 5 columns, -11, okay? And I'm just going to keep pressing enter. -2, 1, -5, 17, and 18. And I'll just type the rest, 1, 0, -1 is that next one, 12, and 17. And I'm going to just take a moment so I don't make an error and make sure I've got every one of these signs correct, because what can happen is you can have everything correct and then have typed in the wrong answer, okay? You can type, even though you understand the problem, the system, you would put a negative instead of a positive, okay? Remember what we do. We always second quit. Now we're going to go back to second matrix. We are going to do some math, and we are going to choose RREF. We're going to go back to second matrix to grab matrix A under the names menu. And there we go. This is our solution matrix. What do you notice? You notice that our diagonal, you can see, I don't know if I can write on this, but I can't. You can see that the 1 has the diagonal is all ones with 0 above and 0 below in those triangles. So we are definitely in reduced row echelon form. Row echelon form just has the zeros below. Reduced row echelon has the zeros above and below that diagonal. So guess what we get to do? We go straight to solving our system with our ordered triple. So x1 is -3, x2 is -2, x sub 3 is 4, and x sub 4 is 2. And that is your solution. And I will allow you to go right to that. Of course, again, you have to understand what all of these notations mean, but I will allow you to solve your systems using a matrix. Okay, let's try this next problem. Now, what do you notice? We do have the W's in the same column, X's, Y's, Z's, and then our constants on the right-hand side. So we are good to go. But if these are not written like that, you will need to write them in the correct order. Let's go ahead with our augmented matrix. I think it's important. So we have 1, 3, -3, 0, 3. We have a 0, a 1, a 3, a 0, and a 12. 0, -5, -14, 0, -57. And here we have a 1, 4, -3, 5, and 21. This is our augmented matrix. And as you can see, we have a 4 by 5. And we're going to go straight to the calculator. Let's do it again. Second matrix. I want to edit matrix A. I do have a 4 by 5 already, and you can clear these if you want, but I just like to type right on over these, and you can type pretty fast. And then we're going to take a moment and just check what we typed. Really important to do that. And I see that I have everything typed in correctly. Second, quit. Now, I want to show you a little something. If you arrow up, do you see that I can reuse? I didn't have to retype RREF. I want the reduced row echelon form of matrix A with my new matrix A that I just entered. Again, are we in reduced row echelon form? The answer is yes. We have zeros in a triangle above and below our diagonal of 1. And what do you notice? Look at that. Our solution, solve the system. Our solution is the ordered triple 3, 3, 3, 3. What does that mean? W is equal to 3, X is equal to 3, Y is equal to 3, and Z is equal to 3. Pretty cool problem. Let's keep going. So that solved that one. And I will, like I said, allow students to solve these systems using matrix methods. Okay, let's look at number 53, 54. This is another problem on your review. Yours may be a little different. We use algorithms to make sure that we don't have the same question every time. So we do have to do some work here. Notice your X, your Z, and your Y. So our variables are X, Y, and Z. So the important thing is they must be in alphabetical order. So let's do it. 2X plus 5Y plus 5Z equals 27. Keep in mind, if it's a negative 5Y on this side, it's a positive 5Y on the other side of the equation. Makes it easy, okay? We have an X. Now we're going to have a positive 2Y and a negative 4Z, and that's equal to negative 6. So what did you notice? This was a positive 4Z on that side, and it's a negative over here. That's a negative 2Y on that side of the equation, and it's positive. Just another way of thinking about adding and subtracting from both sides. Okay, we have a positive x, a negative 3y, a negative 6z, and that's equal to a negative 12. So make sure you pause this video or you are working on your own and you're able to see that that is the system. We'll go right to our augmented matrix. We have a 2, 1, 1, 5, 2, negative 3, 5, negative 4, negative 6, 27, negative 6, negative 1. We'll go straight to the calculator with our augmented matrix. So second, we don't have to clear it. We can just leave it. Second matrix, I want to edit matrix A.
If you have ADHD or you just can't focus on schoolwork, this app is perfect for you.
That's a shame.
It's called Gauss.
So,
take a picture of your homework and it gives you the correct answer and detailed instruction.
You can ask it math, chemistry, history, etc. And it even has book summaries all in one app. I cannot recommend it more. School starts soon. Make sure you go download Gauss for free.
Okay. Okay, so we're back in business, and now we have a 3 by 4, so that's all I'm going to do is change that up here. 3, enter, 4, enter, and I'm just going to type over these. I'm going to take a minute. Make sure you press that last enter. 5, negative 4, 26. Yep, I'm good. So we're going to second quit. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to go reuse that RREF. So we want the reduced row echelon of matrix A. Now, what do you notice? So I must have typed something in wrong. So let's go back up and look at, and this is good. I'm glad this happened. Second quit. And I can see right here what I did. This was a negative 12. And that would make this a negative 12. So that was kind of cool that I got that decimal. So now what do? We're going to go back to second matrix. We want to edit matrix A. So I'm just going to press enter, and that should be a negative 12. Second quit, go back up and get that RREF. And there we have it. So what is our solution? Our solution solving this is the system, is the ordered triple 603. So if you were asked what X was equal to, or Y was equal to, or Z was equal to, that solves that system, you would write your answer like that. If they ask you to write it as an ordered triple, you will write it like this. Okay? Let's go ahead and look at our next review question. This is from the review. Whoopsie. And it looks like everything is in the correct columns. So I'm going to go straight to editing matrix A. And it looks like I have a 3 by 4. So let's go up here. See if I can get these typed in correctly this time. Okay, and take a moment to check. Second quit. We want the reduced row echelon form of matrix A. And there we have the solution of the system. X is equal to 0, Y is equal to 4, Z is equal to -1. That ordered triple looks like that. And you can see that answer right here. And that concludes this video.